stars of the show. Here they come. Here they come. And the director, Miss Heather. Here she is.
This is the lovely cast of members here, and they have all worked so hard. We've been practicing all sorts of different acting techniques, and we're really excited. I hope you're excited too, and this is going to be a really great show, so thank you all for coming.
There once was a peddler. But he was not an ordinary peddler. He did not carry his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First my own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. He walked up the street and he walked down the street, holding himself very straight. And as he went along, he called, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street. Calling, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry. He had no money for this. I think I'll go for a walk in the country, said he, and he walked out of town slowly. He walked for a long time till he came to a great big tree. That's a nice place for a rest, thought he. He sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back against the tree trunk little by little. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First my own check cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hands. Make sure his caps were in the right place. He felt my own check cap. He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked in front of him. No caps. Looked behind the tree. No caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? On every branch sat every monkey would. A gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He did not know what to do, but he shook a finger at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." Only shook their finger back at him and said, this made the peddler angry. So he shook both hands at him and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both those hands back at him and said, now he felt quite angry. He shook both hands and stamped his foot and said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." Both hands stamped that back. By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He shook both his hands, stamped both of his feet, and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkey
Bye.